Hey everyone, it's Jackson again from the Popcorn Review Podcast. Today's gonna be my episode 53, AEW Dynamite, again at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. So I think they're gonna be there for another week or so, maybe, or at least another couple episodes. Um, but this week it started off hot and heavy, man. Once the show started, Gabe Kidd's coming to the ring, kind of pissed off, and pretty much calling Darby Allin out. Those two guys get into it right away. They start fighting next to the ring post. Gabe Kidd tries to take off one of those, I guess, protective pads, and it kind of backfires. Darby somehow pulls off the ring cap, shoves his fucking arm in there, and they just start going in on each other, start beating the shit out of each other. Well, then all hell broke loose. You had the Death Riders there, you had Willow there, you had Hook come out, and then the Ops also came out. Hook and the Ops had like a weird exchange. They just ran right by each other. Um, Long story short, pretty much a war zone there. And you have Gabe Kidd and kind of like Darby Allin kind of like go off on their own or to the side, and they end up in the back, and they continue to fight each other off. And Darby grabs like a powder or some type of substance on a rag, kind of chokes him out with it or shoves it in his mouth, whatever the case was, and puts him in a body bag and drags him through the streets of Philly. Now, of course, we know that wasn't the case, but that's what was insinuated. Now, when I checked TikTok and Instagram, everybody was like, man, especially people from Philly, and I'm from up north, so I kind of know what's going on from Jersey and stuff. A lot of people are like, man, if he's in that body bag driving through Philly, man, he's going to hit every fucking pothole in town. And I couldn't agree with that. Driving through Philly, Trenton, New Jersey, New York, there is a bunch of fucking potholes because of the snow and the amount of people that drive on them. So I definitely understood that. It was just an all out brawl. And again, puts him in the body bag and drives off, pulling the body bag. I'll post a picture here, but he's going to pull in the body bag and pretty much showing that he's willing to do anything to get to what's his name? Get to John Moxley. And, it was just an all out fucking brawl. Had, Death Riders and Gabe Kidd versus the Ops and Darby. And Hook was coming for the save, but Hook kind of like stood off for a moment when he saw the what's it called? The Ops come out, Joe and Hobbs. Shibata wasn't there, at least not this episode. But right after that, you had a match with the CEO and Alex Wenza, or however the fuck she pronounced it. But it was actually a good match, and again, a lot of people keep saying that Mercedes is bashing these people. She's burying these people. She's winning her title. She's undefeated, even though she lost to Tony, so she technically has one loss, and then she's got a loss in tag team. But um, Mercedes is actually putting these girls over. A lot of people wouldn't know who these girls are without wrestling Mercedes Moné. That's what people don't understand. You wrestle a younger talent to put their name out there, to see how good they are. They did the same thing with Daniel Garcia last week. He wrestled Moxley, putting his craft on display for everyone to see. That was a good match between Daniel Garcia and Moxley. This was a good match with Mercedes and Alex Windsor. What was the issue? They were going back and forth, hard hitting moves. I think it was like the figure four or something to that effect. They ended up rolling out of the ring, and Alex Windsor puts her in, I think, the figure four, if I'm not mistaken, and Mercedes actually taps out. But the ref told her, hey, you have to do it inside the ring. It can't be a tap out outside. So even though technically she won the match, because it wasn't inside the ring, Alex Windsor actually does not pick up the win. Mercedes does, and Alex Windsor's pissed. And she pretty much goes to shake her hand. Mercedes, as per usual, talking shit to everyone she wrestles, and she slaps it out of her hand. And she actually goes back in and puts on I think it used to be called the bank statement. Forgot what it's called now, but she puts her almost like in a crossface submission, if anything. And she's tapping out. Alex Winter's tapping out, but it's after the match. They're trying to pull her off. And Riho out of nowhere comes out of the backstage area through the crowd, drops the elbow. Mercedes Moné looks in shock. Riho grabs her belt, looks at her, pretty much saying, I'm next. We haven't seen Riho in a while. And if I'm not mistaken, Riho has probably gone after the TBS championship, but I don't think she's won it. So if she does win, let's see. But the way Mercedes is doing, she's probably going to win that one itself. But I'm telling you, that match was insane between Alex Windsor and Mercedes. They both went over in that match. Both the crowd was going for both those ladies. Just an all great match. Can't wait to see what's going to happen. I'm assuming Riho is going to wrestle Mercedes at All Out, but I'm not sure. But we'll see what happens, guys. Um, the ops did have an interview, and Renee was like, "Well, what's going on with Hook?" And he goes, "Hey man, I don't know. Joe goes, "Hey man, I don't know. You got to go talk to Hook. He's his own man." And Hook kind of disappears. And he goes, "Yeah, man, I just want to let you know, man, this what you did to me was BS. My body wasn't even cold yet, and you already moved to the next person." And he was like, "I thought you had my back." And Joe was like, "Yo, you got to understand, I do have your back. I will always have your back. But this was just a business decision. You weren't around, so Hobbs took your spot, and we ended up winning." And Hobbs kind of chimes in. He was like, "Yo, man, I've always had your back. Like, what are you talking about?" He was like, "Look, just know I don't need y'all help. So leave me alone going forward." And Joe was like, "Just know that if you ever need our help, we got your back." I thought at one point maybe Hook was going to turn heel. Not going to be the case, at least as of now. Not now. Somewhere down the line, the ops is going to help Hook out or possibly cost Hook the match. I hope Hook goes on like a nice little tear, starts, getting some wins under his belt. Hook should be TNT champion. I don't see why not. You know, or maybe it could be Hook who takes the title off of Okada. Okada ain't doing shit. Honestly, the best match I saw was Okada versus Kenny and Okada versus Mark Briscoe that I've seen recently. Before that, Okada was super lazy in the ring, super it's whatever, but it is what it is. Hook should be a champion. He retired his father's championship, so Hook should be a champion hopefully in the near future. TNT champion makes a lot of sense. That'd be actually a good match between Hook and Kyle Fletcher. Honestly, I see Kyle Fletcher win it. He's more acrobatic, more dynamic, but they are trying to show Hook as a monster. So we'll see, guys. Um, you had Ricochet and GOA have a little interview there. It was kind of interview heavy, honestly. But you had Ricochet there with the Gates of Agony or GOA, and pretty much saying that he's always had an issue with the Hurt Syndicate. This is not something brand new. They've been having issues for a while, and if he wants, he's like MVP. Why don't you strap them boots on? Let's have it at All Out. Okay, that's gonna be a decent match. A lot of people used to talk so much shit about Ricochet. He was stale. He's just like an acrobat. This that. Yes, his character in WWE was super stale. They used him almost like a Dolph Ziggler just to sell for people. And that's pretty much what Ricochet was there for, just to sell. And honestly, this version of Ricochet, holy shit, man, he did a complete 180. They said he couldn't be a heel, and right now Ricochet is being healed. The only thing that's missing for Ricochet and his group is some gold. There's enough titles there. They can either go for tag team, they can either go for a singles run, they can go for the trios again against the ops. Maybe that's what happens. They wrestle the ops again. Hook tries to get involved and cost the ops the match, and then him and Joe have an issue. That'd be kind of crazy. But we'll see what happens, guys. But Ricochet versus the Hurt Syndicate. Let's get it. And then later in the day, MVP goes, "Yeah, you want it, you got it. I'll gladly strap my boots on to wrestle besides my men here." And he goes, "I hope you don't drag down the Gates of Agony. There were lines before you, and the way you're going, they're not going to be successful. They'd be better successful without you." So trying to put doubt in Ricochet's group already, but we'll see, guys. So you did have Mark Briscoe kind of come out and call out Don Callis, saying he wants for 2025 to be the TNT championship before the end of the year. Excuse me, the end of the year. And pretty much says that he wants Kyle Fletcher. And typical heel fashion, Don Callis says, "No, you're not worthy." And he was like, "Well, who do I got to beat to be worthy then? Let me know." He was like, "Well, let's see." So he brings out some of his guys there, his goon squad, Don Callis family. And he had, I forgot the other guy's name, but he had Lance Archer there. And Lance Archer goes in. Honestly, I knew Lance Archer was going to lose. Um, I just saw that coming. Honestly, he's been on a losing streak personally that I've noticed. So he did lose. Good match between Briscoe and Lance Archer. Total opposites of wrestling styles. One's more comedic. Lance Archer's always with the everybody dies. So, but I would think I would take Lance Archer more serious if he was pulling up some big wins and trying to go for some big titles. But that's just me. Lance Archer and Mark Briscoe, good match all around. Crowd was behind both of them. Um, but Mark Briscoe does take the win there, and he pretty much says that he's gonna have to wrestle Okada to get to Kyle. So he wrestled Lance. Now he's got to wrestle Okada, not Okada, Takeshita. Sorry, Takeshita next week, and then he has an opportunity against Fletcher if he wins. Honestly, the way they've been building up Fletcher, and I've been saying this for a long time, he is a fucking dog. He is a beast in the ring. Hard hitting moves, acrobatic as shit, looks the part. Like this dude is an all star. At one point, he's gonna be the AEW World Championship. I see it. I'm gonna say the next 5 years. Within the next 5 years, he should be champion at least one time. Um, Tony Storm does have some words there. She pretty much saying that she's ready for her next chapter. Um, she wants to know, she wants to have AEW's best and even its worst. She wants to see who can beat her in the ring or who can give her a good match in the ring. Now, the way she was talking, I got kind of scared personally. I'm like, is she talking about leaving or is she talking about taking a break? Because technically her contract could be up. I'm not sure of how her contract is working out, but technically her contract could be up. And this could be her way to leave and possibly go to WWE. Hopefully that's not the case. Tony Storm's been amazing in AEW. Her story, I think, has been what's been helping a lot of eyes get to AEW personally. So we'll see how it works. But the way she was talking, she's like, "Hey, I'm just ready for, my next chapter." So what does that mean? Is that code for she possibly be leaving, or is it code that she's waiting for someone to take the title from her? So we'll see, guys. You did have Harley Cameron and Chris Statlander have also another segment or interview. And it was kind of weird. Harley was wearing her little pink mask to protect her nose. She said, I'm just going to take this off. It didn't work. My nose was busted open last week. So this is just bad luck. So she pulls it off finally. I personally thought she was going to have some bruising, but she had some makeup on. So maybe it covered the bruising. And she's like, we're ready. We're ready to get some tag team wins. And Brodito, you're next. And Chris Statler's like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, hey, let's just worry about the girls, and the guys could do their own thing. Hopefully, by them talking about women's tag teams, they're gonna bring women's tag team. And I've been saying this for a while. AEW needs some women's tag team championships. Even if they cross between, Ring of Honor and AEW, kind of like what WWE does with all three brands. If that's how they want to play it, fine. But the women's need some tag team titles for them to shine. Honestly, the women's have been putting on some good ass matches. Why not have them wrestle or have them be champions and be out in the front? One thing that came from that though, Yuta and Marina Shafir kind of interrupts the interview and he goes, "Hey, just know that he says he got your back, so just let us know if you ever need us." And Chris Stanley kind of looked standoffish. She was like, "Well, let him know I got your message." And then her and Marina Shafir kind of like faced off with each other. I did mention that maybe Chris Statlander joins the Death Riders. Personally, the Death Riders gimmick is old. Now they don't have any championships. I don't see them being relevant. They also lost the last pay-per-view at Forbidden Door. So it's like, what's the point right now? Um, I honestly think that Chris Statlander should do her own thing. AEW, please bring some women tag team champions. You have enough women there to do that. Look, I'm just gonna name a few. Chris Statlander and Harley Cameron. That's one team. You have Anna Jay and Ty Conti. You have Megan Bain and Penelope Ford. You can have who's the other woman? You can have Thunder Rosa and Willow if you needed to, and that's four groups right there. You could even have Athena and I think Billy Starks with her. That's a fifth group. You could have Tony and Alex Windsor, just to throw out names. Like you guys have right there. That's six women in the tag team division, just in AEW. And I know there's more. You know what I'm saying? There's more women there that I'm just not thinking about. Marina Shafir could tag with somebody. Why isn't this not happening? You guys have the women on your roster to do so. You only have technically two women's championships, TBS and AEW World Championship. Unless you count the Ring of Honor titles, you've only got two titles in AEW. What are y'all doing? Women's deserve to shine. Let's make it happen. You did have Yuta and Claudio versus Brodito. Honestly, Brodito, this match, these two guys together, it is so funny. I've been saying it for a while. I wanted Brody King to win a championship. If not, he might leave AEW. And after a few months, boom, they put the tag titles on him, and it makes a lot of sense. He was a trios champion at one point. Now he's a tag title. Brody King is such a big dominant force. At some point, he will have a singles title in AEW. I see it. Um, Maybe an international title or the unified title, whatever the case is. But I definitely see him winning some gold in the near future. Um, but all in all, good match, honestly. Brody King doing his thing like always, cannonballing motherfuckers. Him and Bandito were kind of like in the ring, and Bandito was doing like this Macarena or dancing at something, and Brody King's like, no, I'm out. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So it's just funny. They're cool with each other, but he's like, yo, I got a limit. I'm not dancing in the ring, so let's not do that. But good match, honestly, guys. But again, Brodito takes the win. Um, there was a weird interview with Okada, and I don't know if it was just my TV or my network, but Okada had an interview, and it sounded like that he got cut off. Either they merged the voice or the possibly the over like an interview or something over his interview, or there was just a bunch of crowd noise, but I didn't hear a word that Okada said. So let's see what happens. But I personally didn't hear what Okada had to say. Um, I did mention, MVP and the Hurt Syndicate did, agree to the match at All Out. So that's going to be a good match. Adam Copeland and Christian, they came to the ring, and before anything could be said, they pretty much got attacked by FTR right away. They go off on each other and just building to All Out. I cannot wait, guys. It's going to be an amazing match. I'm hoping Christian doesn't fucking turn on Copeland, but we'll see, guys. We never know with that guy. So, but the main event of the night, you did have Jet Speed and Omega versus Hangman versus Kyle Fletcher, Josh Alexander, and the Bucks. And again, the Bucks ain't getting no motherfucking respect. Even for the picture they took, the Bucks' face were just like distorted, and one of them was laughing, the other one's like that, like this at the flash blacked his eyes or whatever. But just in all, a good fucking match. Throughout the match, though, you did have Kenny and Hangman kind of reliving their days as the tag team, going ape shit on these guys. And Kyle Fletcher, holy fucking shit. During this match, he looked amazing. He was selling his ass off. Kyle Fletcher was hitting these guys with some fucking bomb ass moves. Guys, Kyle Fletcher is the future. If I'm not mistaken, honestly, unless Jack Perry Jungle Boy comes back, he might have taken his spot as a pillar. That's just my opinion. Kyle Fletcher shaving his head, changing his ring gear, changing his attitude, aligning himself with Don Callis. This dude is fucking amazing. Can't stand fucking Don Callis. Like you heard, even the fans fuck Don Callis. But holy shit, Kyle Fletcher, bro. I just, in the future, you're gonna be world champion. And this is probably the second or third time I said it during the video, but I definitely see it happen. But throughout the match, they were all, hitting their spots, doing their thing. Um, they did win. Kyle Fletcher and his group won. All right. But after the aftermath, you did have Kyle Fletcher put Kenny Omega through a ring. And the first thing I heard when people were talking about it was, man, every week every month they, hurt Kenny Omega and he's out. Technically, guys, Kenny Omega's on borrowed time. He had that diverticulitis, and if I said that wrong, my bad. He had to have some of his intestines removed. So technically, he shouldn't be wrestling as hard hitting and as fast as he does. So we're lucky we're getting a couple matches out of Kenny Omega per month. They kind of do the same thing with Roman Reigns. Roman comes back for a couple weeks and then he's off for like a month or two. So they're kind of doing the same thing with Kenny. But they do put Kenny through a fucking table. Um, and it just was a all in all match, guys. Like Don Callis family looks strong as shit. And I just can't get over how well Kyle Fletcher did with all those guys. Kyle Fletcher did well against Omega. against Hangman. Like, holy shit, dude. Kyle Fletcher is a fucking monster. Now, Jet Speed, Kevin Knight, especially, I feel like they're being abused the last few weeks. Yeah, they're the good guys, but they're the good guys always losing. And it just sucks to me. Like, I want Jet Speed to do their own thing. They went after the tag team titles for a little bit, but it is what it is. Like, it was just a crazy, crazy, crazy match. And all you hear is fuck Don Callis throughout that end of that match. But the Don Callis family looks strong as shit standing over Kenny Omega's body pretty much all over the broken table. But what, guys, let me know. I think we got a couple more matches or a couple more days at the 2300 arena. So let's see what happens, guys. But in all, great episode of Dynamite. Can't wait for All Out. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Have a great one.